If you're like me, you must have those days where you feel like everything that you do is wrong. Everything that you do sucks. Nobody appreciates you. You're not feeling the love. You got bird dew on your car. Your cat scratches you, all that stuff. It's just piling up until you just can't take it anymore. And then you just walk out. Okay. Well, if you're George Harrison, you write a song. Okay. Me, I got nothing. Okay. I have no answer for that other than to just kind of go, okay, here I go. That's me. And I'm Jackie. Welcome to my bower. And yeah, I'm talking about Wah Wah, George Harrison's song Wah Wah. And I don't know all the details, like everybody else. We don't know all the details behind that, what happened, why he wrote it. Like any artist, there's a lot of layers for why you do anything. And I always thought, when I heard it, back in the early 70s, I'm going, okay, I know what wah wah is. Wah wah is that guitar. And it's that pedal. That's what I thought it was. You've got all this wah wah guitar going on and then back up to current day, you listen to the Nagra tapes and you can hear George trying to put wah wah on a lot of the songs. He's just trying out like new things, new ideas, new sounds like he always does, to varying degrees of success. And, it's just not the right sound in a lot of ways. It's just not cool. There's even one time when he, plugs in the pedal wrong and he's just trying to get the hang of it. And it's just not working. And even like a day or two before he walks out, John is saying, are you going to use wah wah over all the songs? And then George is like, well, it sounds like phasing. It can be kind of cool. He tries to blow it off, but I'm sure, that stuck with him. And he said, okay, I guess I'm not going to do wah wah. And I think George was probably sitting there thinking, yeah, this doesn't work, but I'm trying something. My guitars won't stay in tune. I've got about 10, 20 guitars here on set and none of them are working. And I got these different kind of pedals. None of them are working. No one is listening to my song. I'm just not getting it right. I'm doing my best. I'm trying to fit in. I'm trying to get a sound. And he's obviously like in his own world, trying to do all these things, got a lot of things on his head. And then, it's like, okay, it's like full up. And he's like up to here, just like we all get, like up to here. And he says, I'm out of here. I'm just going to go and do this. Now, he probably just meant like all of us, I just need a break, most likely. But also there's probably a layer that says, yeah, I can't do it like this anymore. And I don't really feel like it was just one thing with George. I'm sure it was a multitude of things with George and why he left, etc. And it gave us wah wah. So there is a good thing about that. And if you've ever heard wah wah, it's this big, huge, bombastic song, that one of those ones that you just write in the moment. You're in the right frame of mind, and all of that emotion that he was feeling, all that pressure just whoosh, came out in that song with these layers of guitars and the yells and the screams and all of that. And speaking of the yells and the screams, that's why I was thinking, okay, John, okay, well, this was George's sort of a primal scream therapy for him. He just said, I'm doing wah wah. Okay, wah wah. Well, like he said, it was a headache. Okay, then that pedal, the headache obviously was everything that he was going through. And it was not just the Beatles. I think obviously that was a big thing. It was a very heavy weight that he was carrying around. Like the Beatles and the responsibility for that and having to make it work. And he wanted to do it right. He obviously wanted to get it right, not just for himself, but for his buddies and the Beatles and everybody that was relying on him to get it right. Oh my God, that's a lot of pressure. Okay. And you're an artist. And how are you supposed to create? Well, all that, he was trying to get it to come out this way. Well, it came out this way in wah wah. Thank God. Like I said, again, you just never know what happens. You apply enough pressure and you're trying to get it to go this way. Nope, comes out over here. And it turns out just super duper. And John is also one of those guys who enjoys like a shouty song. What was that? Your Blues? Didn't they just get done singing Your Blues or recording Your Blues in that what they called is just like a little like a box, okay, where you just, where everybody crammed into one of those studios and they had this big sound and they were all going louder and louder, recording it live, and they loved it. I think I heard, on the Nagar tapes, a lot of times they were all commenting about it. They just loved that song. They enjoyed it. All of them singing together and having this big, sweaty, loud experience singing that song. So I almost feel like Wah Wah and your blues are kind of like cousins. And so in my mind, I'm putting John and George together as these shouty guys doing this scream, sing kind of therapy, all kind of layers of sounds and getting it big, and just doesn't matter what you say, you're just getting it out. So I was imagining, okay, it is George's song, okay, and John isn't going to go and record or anything like that with George. Okay, it's George's song, super duper. It's great, it's excellent. But I was imagining, okay, well, what would have happened if John had said yes to the Bangladesh concert? What if he had gone ahead and said, yeah, I'll be there, and what if he actually did show up on stage for George? I was going, okay, he would have been excellent. That would have been excellent. Both of those screamers, like on the, maybe they could have had two mics or both on the same mic. I don't know. I would have loved either one, but can you imagine both of those guys like screaming on that same mic? Wah, wah. Both of those guys screaming that song. I mean, just letting it all out. It would have been so therapeutic for both of them. Okay. And just kind of getting it out. And it's not, to my way of thinking, like all about Paul. I don't think so. I feel like it's really about the Beatles. I mean, if anything, it could have been about John too. John sitting there saying, are you going to be doing that wah wah all over the place? After George had spent like almost, 10 days trying to do wah wah in all of these songs, trying to get that sound right. And all of a sudden, John just pees all over it and says, that sucks. And George really thinks highly of John's opinion, carries some weight, and so George just kind of goes, oh, okay. And he reloads, of course. He's George. He just deals with it. He tries, okay? And he's trying with Paul too. He's just trying. But I guess, you can only do so much. But again, back to Wah Wah at the concert for Bangladesh, there they are. And maybe they can get out all their angst. And again, getting out all their angst at that point in time, I can just imagine them like being all sweaty on stage. Because again, these guys are performers and they're a lot alike. They're just singing guitar. They're just playing guitar. They just want to sing. That's all they want to do once they're on stage, both of them love it. This is what they're doing. And they're doing it for a good cause in this case. And doing something groundbreaking, too. This is the first big charity concert, with all these performers, just really predating everything that is happening right now. And both of them could have been there doing that. And again, it's fantasy. I actually think that, it happened exactly the way it should have. History is absolutely perfect. This is just me imagining what it would be like, something I would love to see or what would have loved to have seen. And I think would have been great, okay, even if John had just come on stage for that one song, okay? Have John come on and just say, I'm here for you, George. And then both of them just be all excited, whoop, up to that mic and singing that song. And sweat and everything, just singing that song for like about 20 minutes. Can you imagine? That would have been absolutely legendary, something that, that you just don't forget. You already don't forget Concert for Bangladesh. It's already a legend. Both of these guys are, John and George, both legendary in their own right. But I just cannot get over the fact that song, everything behind it, and all of that history, and both of them feeling very angsty, and their relationship changing, all during that time, things kind of falling apart and missing each other. George had been there for John, and then here's John getting there for George, and also for himself if he's up there on stage singing that song. I bet you he would have found it very therapeutic, just like when they were doing your blues. They loved that, and I know that they would have loved this, and I think it would have been really good medicine. I mean, I don't know. Just in my world, I think wah-wah is the cure. I think everybody Okay, here's my take. Here's another take. Okay, everybody, you're having a bad day. Just go and sing, sit there, wah, wah. Just scream it out. Okay, and everything is good after that. Yeah. Some days you need Hey Jude as medicine. Other days you need wah wah. Wah wah is for that one where you just are saying F you to basically everybody on your list. You've got the list out and they all have the red marks next to them and they're saying just wah wah to everything. And that's why that song is so huge and so big. That's just my take. I think it's, again, I think everything the way it happened was perfect, of course. But, I can wish and hope, and it's just, one thing on my fantasy to have loved to have seen that. For John and George to have been on that stage together, ironed things out through a song, shook hands and said, okay, I'll see you around the clubs. That would have been cool. Well, thanks once again for being here with me. I truly, truly appreciate it. I love you all. Love all you guys. And until next time, peace and love one another. Wow, wow. Oh my God. You can always get very conspiracy theory territory with these guys. And during that time in the early 70s about what does this song mean and what does that song mean and what is he saying about that and he's writing a song about this and so and he doesn't care about that person. Oh my God, he's mad. Oh my gosh. Well, you can also look at it this way. Paul didn't write a song about George. Maybe he doesn't love George. Maybe he's felt like George wasn't important enough to write a song about, maybe George could take it that way. John probably didn't write a song about George either. They're, just John and Paul are writing songs about each other. Maybe that's, it's just nutty, isn't it? Just nutty.